The price of my dream. My name is Simon, and this is the story of my dream, its beauty, its cost, and the quiet loss that came with it. I once lived alone in a small room that hardly deserved to be called a home. It was at the corner of an old building where paint peeled like tired skin and the windows rattled whenever the wind passed by. That room knew me better than anyone else. No one came there except me. No friends knocked on the door, no family visited, and no voices filled the silence. Only I existed there, along with my thoughts, my fears, and my dreams. The neighborhood around me was strange in its own way. People lived close, but hearts stayed distant. They were not bad people, they were just busy surviving their own lives. Sometimes they helped, offering water when I was sick, lending a chair when mine broke, or asking once in a while if I was doing fine. Most of the time, though, they remained silent, like shadows passing each other without touching. I learned early that help would be limited, and dependence was a luxury I could not afford. That room was where my dream began to grow. I had nothing special, no money, no support, no strong background. What I had was a burning desire to become more than what life had handed me. At night, I would sit on the floor, back against the wall, and imagine a future where I was respected, independent, and successful. Those dreams were the only company that never left me. Loneliness became my daily partner. I woke up alone, ate alone, and slept alone. There were days when silence felt peaceful, but most days it felt heavy. Still, I told myself that this was temporary. I believed that sacrifice was necessary, that dreams demand pain before they give rewards. I convinced myself that emotions were distractions and relationships could wait. After many struggles, I finally started a job. It wasn't a big position, and the salary was small, but to me, it was a doorway. From the very first day, I decided that I would give everything I had. I worked harder than others, stayed longer, learned faster, and spoke less. While others complained, I pushed myself. While others rested, I prepared. Slowly, my efforts began to show results. People noticed me. My seniors appreciated my discipline. My boss trusted me with responsibilities others avoided. My name started to carry weight. Every word of praise felt like proof that my suffering was worth it. I returned to my lonely room each night with tired bones but a proud heart. That room, once filled only with doubt, now echoed with hope. Among all the people I met during that time, there was one person who mattered more than I realized. His name was Joe. Joe was different. He was not chasing success blindly. He worked sincerely, but he also understood the value of people. He listened more than he spoke. He noticed when I was exhausted, when my smile was forced, when my silence grew deeper. Joe was a well-wisher, not the kind who flatters, but the kind who genuinely cares. He would tell me to slow down sometimes, to take care of myself. He asked about my life outside work, about my room, my meals, my health. At first, I appreciated his concern, but slowly, I began to see it as interference. I wanted more money, more recognition, more growth. I believed that caring too much would weaken my focus. So, without realizing it, I began to distance myself. I stopped sharing. I stopped listening. I replaced conversations with overtime, friendships with goals, and rest with ambition. Joe remained kind, but I became colder. I didn't hurt him intentionally. I was just too busy chasing the future to notice the present. Time passed, and life moved forward. One day, Joe got promoted. The news spread quickly, and everyone congratulated him. When I heard it, I felt genuinely happy for him. He deserved it. He had worked with honesty and balance. I smiled, shook his hand, and told him I was proud of him. He smiled back, but there was something different in his eyes, something quiet and distant. That night, when I returned to my room, the happiness felt incomplete. Joe's promotion made me realize something I had been avoiding. While I was earning appreciation, I was losing connection. While I was moving upward, I was moving away from people who cared. Joe had grown, not just professionally but personally. He had built a life that included success and relationships. I had built only success. I didn't lose Joe completely, but I lost the closeness we once shared. Months passed. Life continued its routine. I worked even harder, earned more, and gained more respect. Yet, the silence in my room grew louder. The walls felt closer. The nights felt longer. Achievements no longer brought the same joy. Every few months, Joe would message me or meet me briefly. He would ask how I was doing, whether I was healthy, whether life was treating me well. There was no jealousy in his words, no bitterness, only concern. Those messages touched me more deeply than any professional award ever could. Each time I read his messages, I felt a mix of gratitude and regret. I began to understand the true price of my dream. It wasn't the loneliness of that small room. It wasn't the sleepless nights or endless work. It was the emotional distance I created. It was the relationships I neglected. It was the moments I chose to ignore in the name of ambition. I had believed that earning more meant living more, but I was wrong. I was surviving, not living. That realization didn't come suddenly, it grew slowly, like a quiet ache. I started noticing how empty success feels when there is no one to share it with. I noticed how rare genuine concern had become in my life. I noticed how much I missed being seen as a person, not just a worker. Joe, without knowing it, became a mirror. Through him, I saw what I had lost. Even today, I still live alone. The room looks the same, but I am not the same man. I have learned that dreams are powerful, but they are also demanding. They take more than we expect. Sometimes, they take parts of us we never meant to give away. I don't regret dreaming. I don't regret working hard. What I regret is forgetting that success means little without human connection. I regret not caring enough when care was freely given. Joe still checks on me. And every time he does, I feel thankful that some bonds survive neglect, even if they change shape. This is my story. The story of Simon. A man who achieved his dream, but paid a price he didn't understand until it was already paid. And if my story teaches anything, it is this. Chase your dreams, work hard, and rise, but never forget the people who walk beside you when the path is still dark. Because sometimes, the greatest loss is not failure, but forgetting how to care.